Oh, you have a dentist cleaning.
Who's that? Next week?
I guess so.
That pops up fast, huh?
No, you probably need all the notice you can get.
Of course. Let me fix it up. Hey guys, we'll give it a second here. Get it going. Good. Join in. That's quite enough set up like that. Laura, hello. Jason, what's up, brother? Hey, Tracy.
Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Welcome to Pre-Friday.
Pre-Friday?
Thursday. It's a new Friday. Pre-Friday.
Mm-hmm. What lingo is that? Is that your Peloton?
My own lingo.
Joseph, what up, buddy? What up, guys? Hope everybody's doing good.
Hello.
Let's see with the crew.
We're ready.
We're getting going.
Yes.
All right. So same thing. We're trying to shoot for that 20 goal again for today to get after.
I'm just going to go like this when we hit 20
minutes. Okay. So jumping right in, guys, one of the things. Morning. Justin, look at that. That's a name blast from the past.
Hey.
Yeah. So the big topic, guys, has been coming in as of late. Thought it was an important one, right? End of the year starts coming. We start talking a lot. Players, families, we start getting into the whole, all right, end of the season. Obviously, tryouts are kicking in.
Oh, right? Are they ever?
Yeah, exactly. The fun has begun.
Why y'all get a call during dinner time? That's what I want to know.
It's all part of the deal.
I think you set it up that way. Hey, call me at this time so I can get out of the craziness of dinner time feeding the littles.
I actually enjoy the whole dinner time. That fact that we can sit down.
Really?
Yes, I do. It brings a little old school flavor. It's still nice to have dinner with the family.
We try to have dinner together.
I like it.
Until Naomi starts screaming. Then the first one to run out of the room is this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God, that part.
All right, that's 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so I'm going to hold you to task today.
Okay.
Trying to make it look like I talk.
So this time of the year, what kicks in, guys, is that we start to look at, all right, how did the season go? What do we think? All that type of stuff, right? And
I think people are right into where they're going.
What's that?
I think people are so focused on where they're going.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They're not taking a look back.
No, exactly, right? Because that's just the culture that we're in, right? It's just keep moving, keep getting better, keep moving, right? That we rarely look back. And a big part of what's happening now, guys, is the whole progress, not perfection, right? It's something that we've been talking a lot about recently, right? We're doing our own type of mindset work, right? We're getting through that, and we keep hammering away. And one of the things that, as a topic, and for us, is that we keep talking about the idea of progress, right? Of how much progress we've made so far personally, right? So, hey, what's up?
Hey, Jen.
Yeah, love you. And so, the idea now for parents, for players, right, families, is that understanding, being able to look back and go, all right, what progress have you made? Is such an important topic that we forget to, like you said, look back and go, all right, well, how much better did I get this year? What has changed? And I think the biggest part is, I know we wanted to talk about just from our experiences of how we've grown, because from an adult's perspective, it's good to always talk about parents. Hey, here's what you're looking at for the kid. But more importantly, as the parent, right, when we talk about, you're the one, right? You're the catalyst with so many different things. What we want to talk about is being able to look at it and say, you know what? But this is how I feel as a parent. And I want to be careful of not pushing how I feel on you of where you're at. And so it's an important part that, I think when you wanted to talk about, I know it was awesome what you were saying earlier. I love that, of what you were getting into.
How would you do that? I'm like,
of course you do.
Everything I say is awesome. Which part?
Yeah. Everything you say is awesome. Yes, dear.
It's okay. No, I think.
Alexa,
no.
Is my wife always right?
Come on, she's going to start.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Yeah. Alexa knows. Mm-hmm. She knows. But anyway, what I wanted to say before you got me off topic was that, yes, it's important to look back, but it's the key for me, because I'm a type A, obsessive compulsive, perfectionist type personality. And I think, trying to get everything organized, you get so focused on the end result that we lose track of not just the progress we've made, but to enjoy the journey that we're on.
Exactly.
And I, for one, am so guilty of that. Like I have to constantly work to remind myself to enjoy the journey, enjoy the imperfections. And it's maybe not in the moment, but take a moment to be like, oh, wow, look how far I've come.
Right.
Or, you know what, I learned, if that didn't happen that way, I would never have learned, you know, this. And really having an opportunity to not just get so focused on what the outcome is.
Exactly.
Because the outcome isn't really what it's about. If all we're doing is staying focused on what the outcome is, we're missing the whole game. And not just hockey, like life, like we're missing it all. And I'm really guilty of that. And that's one of the things that I'm working on is enjoying being in the moment, in, you know, taking a look to see, wow, I'd actually come so far. Right. Whether it's my mindset journey, whether it's as a parent, whether it's, you know, in business or what I'm working on, like enjoying and really recognizing that, like, holy shit, you know, like there's a whole journey in between, and not getting stuck in just so focused on the outcome.
Right. Exactly. Well, that was one of the things you brought up was as a parent, right? Like everyone has its stages, right? We have some people that have been around for a while, right? But the biggest part for you is that as a parent, what have you already noticed so far that you have to keep coming back to and remain aware of?
Well, one of the things for me is that I can't change what's already happened. So I tend to obsess on, like, even like in the morning, like, oh, why didn't we got out of the house late again, you know, little things like that. Right. But then, like, I have to stop myself. And that's one of the things that I'm getting better at, is stopping myself before I waste like a whole day worrying about it, is to say, enough, it's happened. I can't go back and change it. Can I learn something from it? Is there a win out of there that I can take with me? But, like, stop worrying about it. The morning's over. Like, they're late to school. Like, What am I going to do about it? Stress all day? Then I'm late picking them up. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's letting it go a little bit and enjoying the journey.
Right, exactly.
Is this any of what I was saying earlier? Or is this
no?
Okay. You feel free to remind me.
Maria, Nicole, Vadim, what's up? What's up, buddy? Alex, Dan, what's up? Jamie, hello. Sammy,
hey.
Nice. Julie, hey. Coach Carl, love Coach Carl. Melissa, hi guys.
Let me know where I was going liked, and I can probably remember.
I'll start. You know, like basically, I was talking about from a coach's perspective. Remember how we were like talking about differences? Yes. So like, one of the things from a coaching perspective, guys, I learned about progress, not perfection, right? Like from my experience in terms of, you know, what the takeaways have been through the years of, you know, ascending and learning as a coach. I remember in the younger years as a coach, it was really difficult I had went from achieving a certain level, right? So parents, there's an experience of life that you achieve a certain level, right? You're successful, whatever you want to call it. And you've had the job that you wanted, or you've had the relationships, whatever it is, right? But at the core of it as a coach, what I learned was that I had these experiences, and I was so far ahead of the players, obviously, and the parents and their experiences, that in the beginning, the struggle for me was, here's what, you know what, here, like, I'm a good coach. Like I look at it like, hey, I'm giving you something that I know works. I know that if you do this, it's going to work, right? In the beginning, that was my mindset. And what I didn't realize was that, no, it's about little by little getting better with it, right? Because here I am looking at something that took me 20, 25 years to perfect and become very good at it. And here I am dealing with an organism that at times, depending on the age groups, but anywhere from, what was it, 12, 13, 16, 18, all that, where I'm coming in and giving you this information and expecting it to be, hey, I've given you this. I know this works exactly just like this. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you listening? Just do it. I've worked with you. I've shown the video. I've shown exactly how to do it, what to do. How much longer is it going to take you to understand this? And that was a big part of transformation for me as a coach, was realizing that little by little is understanding that, number one, just because I understand it the way I understand it does not mean that the player is going to understand the student, or the parent, for that matter, is going to understand it right away. And so learning that and realizing that, number one, it's a process of, just because I know how to go from A to Z and this is what you need, doesn't mean that that player or that parent is ready for that at that moment.
Absolutely.
But if little by little you see progress, that's what gets exciting. And that's what changed for me, is it went from being frustrated to, come on, like I've already told you 20 different times, 20 different ways of how to do it, figure it out, right? The old that. I realized it was the little bits of being able to see some type of progress excites me now, where it's like, oh, sweet, you're figuring it out. You got a little bit better. Yeah, you know what? Let's change this up. Let's see if this works to help you get even better at that. Those are the cool parts that I've realized. And it took me time to do that. Again, understanding myself inside of that, was as a coach, was realizing like every player, every parent's different that's out there, but understanding that as long as you see some type of progress, even the littlest bit, that's what counts, and that's what excites me now. But that took time to go back from all of my experience that I had to realize and become self-aware and go, this is the way, this is the mindset I need to have, and then figuring out about, oh, this is what excites me. This is cool. And so it was kind of like one of those transformations of going through, seeing that and then rewiring myself to see the other direction, right? Targeting my thinking a different way was such a huge help. And now it makes the whole journey easier and the whole experience so much better, because I look at it and I go, cool, yeah, you're getting better. As long as you're getting better, I'm happy. That's it. And it went from before, I told you a million times, to now it's
well,
cool.
I think you perfectly also sum up, not just as a coach, but as a parent. Like, how often do you watch your kids do something, you're like, you're going to get hurt? I'm telling you, don't do that way. Like, it's not, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. If you, like, any of scenarios, like we have littles, right? So it's like, Naomi, don't pull on that. Like, that's not going to end well for you. And then when she falls, like a minute later, and you're like, freaking told you so. Right. But like, it's allowing, maybe the next time she listens, it's like we've lived it, right? So we want to give so much advice, like as a coach, as a parent, like we've lived a lot of these things. Like we know, okay, stepping on whatever, or, is going to cause that to break and cause you to fall. But as a human, when someone tells us, oh, do it this way, we're wired to want our own experience.
Of course. And
it's ourselves. So whether as a coach or as a parent, that's why I think that story is so good, is because is that really no different than being a parent?
No, 100%.
Like, yeah, you see it, because it's like you get to play Monday morning quarterback as a parent. You're sitting on the stands, you're getting the feedback from your child after practice or whatever's going on at school. You get it secondhand, you're like, oh yeah, I lived through high school. Like, I know how brutal that is. Let me give you a suggestion. But like, especially as a young-minded, in your youth, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it from your coach. You don't want to hear it from your parents. You don't want to hear it from anybody. Right. So if we can flip that switch from being so end result driven into enjoying the progress on both as a parent and, like maybe next time it's like, hey, I don't know if I do that, we might fall. And it's like, maybe just for a second they think, oh, maybe I could. I'm going to do it anyway. But like, at least they've taken a moment in their journey to think about it.
Right, exactly.
And that's all you can really.
And that's one of the things, like from parents' perspective, and you would talk about this a lot, of where with our parents especially, right, from a private standpoint, I always bring up this example, guys, of what would you rather have? Would you rather them going through, right, these issues in the safety of your home, experiencing it right now while you're there, while you can help out, or when they get older and they don't know how to handle it because it's always been handled a certain way of, oh, we've got to always get better.
Or you're handling it for them and not allowing them the experience of working through it themselves.
Bingo, exactly, right? And that's the part that, again, redirect your language and your mind to think about that. And that's the ability, that's the skill, right, of being able to come back and say, yep, all right, progress, not perfection. Maybe it's some other words you use to target yourself and bring you back to that. But the reality is, we always look at it and go, how great is it that you do have the safety right now, right? We talk about adversity, failure. You'd rather see those tough times happening right now while you're there and saying, hey, listen, son, daughter, whatever it is, this is good for you right now. I get it. I know it's hard. You're having maybe a tough season. I get it. Maybe it's not going the way you thought, but you know what? What you're learning right now, you're going to be able to take away later on. Absolutely. And the progress part now is that's the cool part. That's the juicy stuff that we forget along the way is you want to fall, right? Like intentionally, I always look at it as, I see the kids like sometimes, and I know you get upset with me sometimes, where I'll see Naomi standing up, she's ready to jump off of something. I go, that'll learn you. Go ahead, jump for it. Go ahead, learn. And I get it. You do the mom thing of it's good, right? That's the balance, right? That's the yin and yang of get down from there. Cool. And I look at it and I go, that'll learn you. Go ahead, do that. Learn from it. And it's funny, right? Of that, I'm very intentional about that. Of like, but I also there's times where I'm like, I hope it's not really brutal that time. Like I'll feel that energy, but it's still, I'm always aware of it consciously of like, you know what? Learn now. Learn while you're smaller. Obviously, when you do that bigger, but when you're smaller, the injury probably won't be as bad. So I'm okay. And again, that's the end.
Never being left home alone again.
But it's those little things again that just language-wise of remembering that it's part of the process.
Absolutely.
So, but looking at it from the perspective of your given season, the different parts is that looking at it as a parent, as a coach, as a player, are you focused on the fact that, did I get a little bit better this year? You know what? This season sucked. Yeah, okay. How often do people look at their lives and they're like, there's a whole industry, there's a whole thing out there of life sucks. life stinks, life isn't fair. Majority of the people have something out there that they're talking about how it's not fair, this stinks, this sucks. Yeah, welcome to life of we create that. But at the end of the day, do we have a house? Do we have food? Right? Do we have friends? Do we have these things? That's what matters most, more than anything.
Right.
Then the rest is the complaint of, but the progress is you look at it from the perspective of, I want to get better at something. Great. Well, can you look at it and say, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, right? We give the example always to our players is that over the course of the last year, are you better now than you were a year ago? 100% of them, right? Yes. That's progress.
Well, and it's
but we don't look at
checks,
that.
But it's important. So it's so easy to get like wound up in the moment. It's so easy to be like, if the team's having a shitty year, that like everyone's like, oh my God, this is the longest season. It's terrible. We're not getting any better. We're getting our butts kicked. We're, like everything sucks, right? But then it's important to almost be your own Monday morning quarterback without going down that rabbit hole of negativity, but like taking a look, taking a moment, not just as a parent, but encouraging your kid to do that, whether it's with you or on their own. Yeah, you know what? This year's team wasn't what I had hoped for, but like, what can I take away?
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be all good either. I can take away, I learned that I really don't like that, or that I learned that I'm not suited for this. Right. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, let me find the bright side of the season. It doesn't have to be that. Maybe something that you learned is something that you don't like, but that's right. Part of learning too.
Exactly.
Maybe you, thought you were going to have like more goals or whatever.
Right,
maybe that didn't happen for you. Right. Now you get a chance to look back over the year. Did you apply your all at practice? Did you work on your own? Did you, what did you do? And then there's next year you get to start again.
Right.
That's a cool thing.
Well, that's what I always love about next year. That's always fascinating to me.
It's like New Year's Day all over
exactly.
again.
Oh, next year. Next year is going to be the most amazing season yet. Do you know who's coming to this team? It's going to be incredible. Oh, my God, you wait and see. Everyone's going to get their commitments, and everyone's going to go to the NHL and have the sweetest dreams ever. Like the craziness, right? We're all so excited about this thing, but it's like, okay, if you've been struggling, do you honestly think that next year now there isn't going to be some type of struggle associated with that?
There's always struggle.
There's always some type of struggle. There's always a grind with it.
Well, and I would say, just on a totally side note, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but if a coach is selling you on this perfect dream, run, because it's definitely
exactly.
I'm not saying if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true,
right.
Because there's no way any coach or organization can guarantee you, exactly. I don't care how much money they have or whatever's going on, you can't be guaranteed that. No. Whatever dreams and hopes, that takes hard work, that takes,
exactly.
Perseverance and many other things. I don't want to go all the way down there,
right.
but like,
you got to know what you want.
Absorb
that's
journey.
the toughest part,
yes.
right? That's like, as an example, right?
You know what you don't want.
No, exactly. Right. But we have we have a student, right, that's dealing with a situation where trying to take a look at and see, all right, you know what, with next season, what's the best thing for me?
Right.
So is it to continue to stay at my level of progression, or do I need something that's a lot tougher for me? Right? Is it more challenging? And that's the part where.
But you might have others that need less of a challenge.
Exactly, where it works perfectly. But knowing this personality and knowing the mindset of this kid and this family, 100%, this kid, this is what. Hey, you know what, Coach? I know. I'm fully aware. I know it's going to be hard next year. I know it's going to be tough. But this is the position that I want to put myself in next year. So going in, eyes wide open, knows, hey, I know things are going to be hard. I know it's going to be tough. I'm fully aware. I'm ready for it because you know what? I want to invest next season into a tough challenge.
It's part of their journey.
It's part of it. Exactly.
It's a step in the journey where they want to go. Laura has a great comment that my son had an okay season but learned a lot, learned to be a team player. He was forward in D in an instance, and he turned it around and said, I was a team player. And you know what? That's huge.
Life, right? Getting a job, working in a company,
yes.
Community, right? Helping people out. Like we all know, right? That lesson is huge right there because of how many things probably learned from being a team player, right? Supporting, and I'm just giving examples. Obviously, Laura, I don't know, but just giving examples of it was a tough year. So maybe coach was upset at times, or other players were influenced by their parents, and they were saying things in the locker room, complaining and all that stuff. And just realizing that, you know what, the more supportive we are, the better this is. Seeing things like that, I'm sure it took away some awesome lessons of where, you know what, sometimes it's not a great year, right? It feels like an okay season, but by learning your role, you know what, hey, this season, you know what, I understood. I played the role that I needed to. I took away a lot from it. These are the things that you learn from tough years that now you can take into moving into this off season and go, all right, how do I build upon that? What do I want to do for next season and move forward?
Well, and just the fact of learning that I play for a team and I have to play a part of coach's vision, and I'm learning how to do that now because, you know, that doesn't mean you have to love it. That doesn't mean you have to love your role in that coach's vision. But what that does is that gives you information for next year that maybe when you're thinking about where you want to try out, now you've got a whole slew of questions to ask that potential coach of where they see you, how they see you fit in the system. And then down the road, when you're getting hired for a job, sometimes your boss is going to ask you to do stuff that you're like, this is not why I took this job. And, you know, you let it, but learning how to be a team player, learning how to respect the authority that you've allowed to be in that position. I'm not saying that like you have to bow down to all authority because that's another situation, but like you chose to play on that team. You chose to take that job. It doesn't mean that you sign up for a lifetime of crap, you know, but like you have to buy into what you're a part of. And then when you're evaluating, you decide then for the next year or when, if it's a job, you know, when you're ready to move on, because this is no longer fulfilling me. This is no longer giving me what I need, or maybe it's giving me everything that I need in order to pursue this next step in my journey.
Right.
So I think that's a great, you know, opportunity. And I think as parents, we would be thrilled that maybe they didn't have the winning season, but my kid just learned an awesome life lesson. Like I would think that we would take that hands down.
Oh, 100%.
Over, you know, wins and losses.
That's 100%. Right. And simplifying it, guys, of like the way we look at it, right? We always talk about awareness of your position is the key to your mobility, right? We use different acronyms to bring that language together. But in its simplest form, I'll leave it with this, right? Is that in its simplest form, what we're looking at is you look at your season and you go progress, not perfection. How did you progress, right? The easiest way to look at it is physically, mentally, emotionally. Those are three different categories of physically, what changed from the beginning of the season to now, what's changed, what's become better, right? You know, physically, again, you can see, did you mature a little bit more? Did you become stronger in certain ways, right? Movement-wise, is your movement more efficient? All these different things are the physical aspects, right, that you look at, is because we all know how you move. You can be as strong as an ox, but if you can't move fluidly, it doesn't matter as an athlete, right? So these are different physical components of how much did you progress that mentally. Understanding, again, coaches' habits, understand coaches asking you of something, or understanding high percentage plays. We talk about always in the game defensively, right? We all know, I guess, examples, guys in hockey, people talk about, you know, blocking shots, identifying your man, playing stick on puck. These are the different examples that you see that these are actual mental acts, right? These are things that mentally, am I actually doing these habits and executing these things? But those are the things that you want to be able to look at is how have you progressed over the given season mentally in terms of your habits and your performance, right? And what you're doing with that part. And then the last part, emotionally, right? So all these different categories. So emotionally, how are you handling situations, right? When you weren't getting put out on the ice in the last minute of play, in the past, did you get down and, oh, coach hates me, get down? Or did you say, you know what, I've accepted it, I'm getting better at that, and I'm getting through it. Getting, your teammates being rowdy on the bench and saying certain things, right? And, you know what, talking about each other and being mean to each other, whatever, being mean to you, you know what, does that make me get down? Or did I realize, you know what, instead of getting angry, I realized, you know what, to deal with it and how to communicate back and say, hey, that bothers me, you know, that doesn't work for me, and working through that. So emotions, right? These are the big things are things making you angry, scared, all these different parts. These are the realities of breaking down progress. Those are usually the three categories that I found is somewhere in those three, you can always find how did I progress this year, right? And realize that it's not perfect. It's not perfect along the way, but because of those experiences, as you had said earlier when we were talking, is that the experiences are what drive the data. The more experience I have, the more data I'm getting, the more I'm realizing I can push this button, I can't push that button. Yeah, you know what? I understand. Yep, I need to be better at that because it doesn't feel as smooth. Those are the things that based off experience that you learn and take away. And that's the really important piece to that.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, it is a Snyder shirt. Huge fans. Huge fans. How do you overcome the stigma of he is small, right? He is little. He is only 12. Great one. Great question. Any insight? He plays big, but always comes back with he is small. Yeah, I've got a few players like that. And it's a joke, right? The one thing that even you look at it from the perspective of in the NHL, right? In the NHL now, the players are smaller than they've ever been. And why? Because players have to be faster now. They have to be smarter, right? It's not a big man's game. Right? We talk about all the time of where it's such a different game now. As an example, right? You look at a Johnny Gaudreau. If he would have come up during our years of where it was hooking and grabbing and hitting, it wouldn't exist, right? These type of players wouldn't exist. And the reality is that when you hear that type of stuff when they're younger, it's so foolish and it's so irresponsible from scouts, from coaches to say that, because we don't know the end game. And I hate when I hear these things because we don't know the end game. And as an example, I have some players that are smaller, and I'm always giving it back to scouts, and I say, but look at the performance. Look how this kid plays, right? I have one kid in particular I'm thinking of right now that just played at the high school level, quote unquote, small, and played as a 14-year-old at the high school level, which is 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds that are doing nothing but trying to kill you. Played the full season, didn't get injured at all on that side. And yeah, exactly, right? But, quote unquote, the people at the tier 1 level say too small. But the reality is one of the best performers out there, does their job all the time. Their hockey sense is through the roof, and they're great at what they do. And this year ended up getting one injury all year because it was a play that he understood I shouldn't be making that play. But one injury all year, and it's this too small, but it's still one of the best players out there. And I can't stand when I hear that type of stuff of too small. The labeling is brutal. We put this label on a 12-year-old when you don't know what this 12-year-old is going to turn into when they're 15, 16. You don't know. None of us know that. But when we put that label on the kid and we make I'm too small, well, now that might be the next Johnny Gaudreau that's out there, the next amazing player that's out there. But because in their minds, you know what? Maybe I am too small. Maybe I don't fit. And for the next couple of years, to have that stigma in your head for what? Who does it benefit? Who does it benefit? Like, I know there's people out there that argue, well, it's good adversity. But then I argue the other side. Yeah, but what if you teach the kid, you know what? The way you move the puck is phenomenal. The way you create, the way you score, the way you do the little things, you know what? The way you play defensively is awesome. If we focus on that, well, how awesome is the awesome going to get if we put the time into that versus telling this kid that he's too small for what? What's the purpose of saying you're too small if the kid can play? If the kid can perform, I say this all the time. I don't care if you give me 20 of these. I don't care what you give me. But if you give me 20 thinkers, I'll kill anybody out there. Anybody. Because when you have that sense for the game and you know how to play, that's all that matters is performance. It has nothing to do with all this other stuff that people try to put out there.
I think I need a gavel.
I know.
But I will say, I understand, and I'm going to say that we're going to have more on that coming up 1,000%. But I'm also going to take it as an opportunity to kind of pitch something, if I may. We have a few things we want to get out before we end today's show. But the first is focusing on your strengths.
Yes.
And I would highly encourage you to join us here next week because we have a very special guest who is a strengths expert. So definitely don't want to miss that. That would be next Thursday, but I was taking that as an opportunity. I'm weaving into the strengths. I'm trying. Strengths.
Right? Yes.
We're going to be 100%. Focusing on strengths next week and how to use them to your advantage instead of always focusing on the weakness. Exactly. So definitely don't miss next week. We have an awesome special guest. More on that coming.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I just want to take an opportunity is, if you don't know, Coach Vinny here wrote this awesome, I'm going to call it a manifesto, if you will, that I encourage you all to check out at bloodlinehockey.com. Just bloodlinehockey.com. It's free to read. It's a PDF download. If you are looking in your head, you just want to correct that coach, right? And you want to really start to figure out the habits that you can use to own your game and really take, ownership back and stop relying on coaches and trainers and really start looking within yourself as a player, within yourself as a family unit. Don't miss reading this. It's completely free.
Very
we put a lot of effort into it. Bloodlinehockey.com. I will throw it in the comments later. And I know you had a special announcement as we're wrapping up. But a little shout out that you wanted to give.
Yeah, so to Nick Allison, guys, he ended up, a former student of mine ended up getting for Team Virtua, is now the official head coach of the 2005 team with Team Virtua. So I wanted to end up give him a shout out and huge congratulations. It's one of my students from the past. So it's cool to see a player basically progress right into the industry, and I think he's going to be phenomenal at it. But Ed Snyder Youth, he's a part of that crew, and to see a kid, it's a young up and comer, but I always love seeing students jumping in. I'd love to see more of that. But I'm very excited about seeing him jump in and make the next step into coaching and evolving from being a player. So huge shout out to him and good, best of luck to him. And that 2005 team's gonna be lucky to have him. So I'm excited about that.
Yes. Nice to see the full circle.
Full circle. That's awesome.
We wanted to stick to 20. We got to about 30 minutes.
I know.
Thank you for sticking with us. If there's anything, we know tryouts are coming up. So if there's things you want us to talk about, let us know. I'm going to pitch one more time for next Thursday. Don't forget to check the show out. We have special guests. We're focusing on strengths, and this can be applied to you as a parent, you as a coach, you as a player, a child. It doesn't matter who you are. This will benefit you for where you are in your life. Yeah. So I just wanted to
no doubt.
give a nice healthy plug. And bloodlinehockey.com. Check out the PDF.
Yeah. That's why she's the boss.
Yes. Yes. Throwing the reminders
I'm
out
brutal
there.
with that stuff, so it's great that you're hammering away at that.
Yes.
But again, guys, right? Progress, not perfection.
Enjoy the journey.
Just, again, how much better are you now than you were at the beginning of the season? Focus more on that. Just not a believer in the whole good and bad. Yes, sometimes things feel good, sometimes things feel bad. But all of these things you learn from. And that's what's most important is you're learning. You're learning about yourself, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to take. And that's what matters most is those takeaways. That's the whole idea behind all this. So the more you direct yourself towards language, right? Progress, not perfection, it makes it easier to handle all these different crazy things and the good and the bad.
Well, and I think it keeps us from obsessing over the outcome.
Yeah.
The outcome is irrelevant in life. Like we all still die.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's the journey.
Even
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So it's don't just focus on the outcome, but truly focus on and enjoy the journey, even the bad moments. Maybe not in the bad moment, but there's something that will come out of it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We're done rambling.
Yeah. Scotty, what's up, Laura? Thank you very much. Thank you guys for jumping on. And then, John Finchy, Eric, Sean, guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
And guys, again, any questions, comment below. Please share, blah, blah, all that stuff. Let us know. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. All right.
Bye. Guys.